So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very warm day down here at Werribee. We're just a few minutes from getting underway with our first competitor in the Interpath 4CYTH Grand Prix. You saw our start list just a few moments ago for our 11 competitors in the Grand Prix. Our judges for this event: at E, Virginia Creed; at C, Jane Ventura; and at M, Susie Hoevenaars. Very experienced FEI panel, all three of them members of the FEI judges panel, and able to show their expertise to our 11 competitors in the Grand Prix this afternoon. It's a very hot day down here at Werribee, just a little bit over 30 degrees, but a bit warmer than what we've been used to over the past few weeks. Down in our back arenas, on their they were previously known as the show jumping arenas, now known as the new wax arenas, completed just a little while ago. A couple of weeks ago, we've had the elementary taking part down there, and the Intermediate A, Intermediate B and Intermediate 2 competitions have been out here on Arena 2, the main arena for the competition. And I'm just about to welcome our first competitor into the arena. So it promises to be a very exciting competition today. We know that a lot of these horses are capable of scoring well, and probably the top 3 or 4 are capable of scoring well into the 70s. So we will be excited to see those performances when they come a little later on. In the meantime, we welcome the first competitor, Dirk, Dijkstra and Royalito. This is a fairly new combination. I believe just the one start, which was a couple of weeks ago at the Drysdale competition down at Mary Hanna's place. And there we have the bell for our first competitor. Oops, a little bit of a awkward start to the test with a little jump into the arena, but back underway now and into a nice straight halt for our first competitor, Dirk, Dijkstra and Royalito. As I said, only a fairly new combination, but a nice start in the extended trot. And coming round to the first of the steep half passes in the Grand Prix. Just coming a little bit above the bit at the very start, but back onto the job now, and clear crossing able to be seen in this half pass to the right. And then not quite the same cadence to the left, but still the clear crossing as he makes it back over to H, and then around to the halt and rein back at sea. Just the odd few little moments of tension here and there, but a fairly expressive passage there. And a little tight in the piaffe, but then another good, better quality passage. And now into the extended walk. Plenty of overtrack in the extended walk and good relaxation. Very nice and easy into the passage. Just again a little bit of tightness creeping in the transition into the piaffe, and just unfortunately there a little slight miscommunication in the piaffe itself. And away now into the canter tour. The 2 times. Nice and expressive, but just a little bit of a swing, and then unfortunately the extra uncommanded couple around the corner after H. Good ground cover in the extended canter. Now in the half pass zigzag. Just a little bit untidy in the changes of direction, but clear crossing in the actual half passes themselves, and makes it with a little bit of room to spare down at the turn at sea. $15 clear changes for Dirk. For a high mark, you'd be wanting them to be a little bit more forward and covering the ground, but they're all there and clear, so that's the important first step. Through the pirouette, could have been sitting a little bit more, but was able to maintain the rhythm and kept the pirouette nice and small. Here, just a little bit of tension, unfortunately, creeping in for the second of the pirouettes. Easy transition back to the trot. And a fluent extended trot as we come down to the final centre line. Yeah, able to keep the activity a bit better in the piaffe this time. Losing a little bit of the straightness, but still only a fairly new combination to this level, so I think that as they come to the end of their test, I think that Dirk will be very happy with this performance for our first combination in the Grand Prix here at the Hygain Victorian Dressage Festival. And then we have the bell for our second competitor. This is Jessica Hivon and Greenoaks Weltmann. Jessica, only a young rider, has brought this horse up the last couple of levels and starting their big tour career. And you can see able to cover a little bit more of the ground, not quite the same expression as the previous horse, but able to show a clear difference. And now coming into the half pass, you can see the crossing, but just lacking a little bit of the bend in the half pass. Even steps in the reinback and willing to go forward. Keeping the rhythm in the piaffe, although sacrificing a little bit of the mark, keeping the rhythm, but just moving forward a little bit, which will be a slight reduction in the mark, but I would think that would have been a calculated decision to ensure that the rhythm was maintained throughout the movement. Now into the extended walk. And a clear relaxation in the extended walk and a decent overtrack. Just a little bit of unsteadiness in the rhythm in the short side, but cleaned up a little bit towards the end of the collected walk and easily into the passage, which started quite well, but just unfortunately losing a little bit of the energy in the turn. And there you can see Jessica just asking a little bit more on the spot for that second piaffe. And away into the canter work. Good, the 9 clear, 2-time changes for Jessica. Now into the zigzag. And just a slight issue with the counting there in one of the zigzags. It's one of the more difficult movements in the Grand Prix, the zigzag, and still only new at the full Grand Prix. Jessica Hivon. Just a small mistake now in the 1-time changes. And again, for a very high mark, you'd be wanting obviously the clean changes, but also a little bit more covering the ground in the changes themselves. And a reasonable amount of sitting there, although it was a little large to start with. And again, just a little large in the second pirouette, and arguably not able to get the same amount of sitting either. But I think that she'll be reasonably happy with her counter tour, the 1-times notwithstanding. And just a bit of a misunderstanding there, as Jessica asked for more activity in the passage. And again, I think that she will be quite happy with her test there. I know that they've certainly done a few of the U25 Grand Prix, but I don't know that they've done that many of the senior Grand Prix. So I think that they will be quite happy with that performance. And that first score coming in for Dirk, Dijkstra and Royalito. Score of 65.797. The judge at E, 66.413. The judge at C, 65.87. And the judge at M, 65.87. Well, we welcome our next competitor now to the arena. This is Kerry Mack, riding Mayfield Limelight. Kerry, a highly experienced competitor at the Grand Prix level. And a nice straight into the halt for Kerry, and a clean depart. A good way to start the test and get the ball rolling. Kerry, as I said, a very experienced competitor in the Grand Prix arena. Previously competed with the lovely stallion Mayfield Pizzazz in a great number of Pacific League finals. And demonstrating a clear crossing here in the half pass. And not quite so fluent to the left as the right one was. But still able to show the clear rhythm right the way across the arena as she comes into the halt and rein back. Keeping the clear rhythm in the passage, could have a little more lift and expression, but able to keep the maintain the rhythm well, which is always the first priority in any of our dressage movements. And a fairly good piaffe, just creeping a little bit forward, but able to keep the rhythm well and show clear steps right the way through the movement. So I think that she will be fairly happy with that first piaffe passage tour as they go into the walk. Not quite the same degree of overtrack as our last couple of horses, but able to still show relaxation in the walk. And not quite as clear in the rhythm, I think, for the start of the second passage tour here. A little bit tentative into the passage itself. And some clear steps in the piaffe, but just after those first few starting to move a little forward. But here we have a much better... Oops, as I say, that just lost the energy a little bit, unfortunately, just coming up to E. But that started much better in the passage. And all clear for the 9 two-time changes. bold extended canter. Coming now into the zigzag. And you can see here Kerry showing her experience with just a little bit more setup and cleanness in the transitions from one rein to another. That was professionally ridden. Coming in now to the one-time changes. And again, clear through the 15 one-time changes. A little bit tight perhaps towards the end, but they were all there and they were covering the ground. So I think that she will be pretty happy with that performance with the changes in particular. And just to get a little bit away from her, not able to sit as well for the second pirouette. The first one was able to show a much clearer sitting than the second. But Kerry, Mack and Mayfield Limelight coming down onto their final centre line. Just losing a little bit of straightness, unfortunately, in the Piaffe, but quickly corrected. And I think probably the best passage and Piaffe of the test on the final centre line. And I think that Kerry will be very happy with this ride. It has not always been the easiest horse, Limelight, and I think that she'll be absolutely thrilled with this test. And the pat says it all. Well, our next competitor circling the arena now, this is Louise Curran and Dara Gandalf. Louise brought Gandalf on from around about medium level. I think that this combination came together and have done well to make it up the ladder to Grand Prix. This combination had, I think, their international debut last year in 2019 when they're first starting on the CDI circuit. And we have there the bell for the start of the test for Louise Curran and Dara Gandalf. Just a little bit behind her in that trot out of the first halt, but Louise able to get him really motoring there in the extended trot, and they might just loosen him up a little bit as they continue on to this trot tour. And unfortunately just losing the quarters a little bit towards the end of the half pass there. And again, like showing the clear crossing, but probably wanting just a little bit more activity and cadence for a high mark. And she comes into the halt and rein back. Wheeling forward and back for Gandalf. And then into another one of these expansive extended trots. Just struggling a little for balance in the passage. Keeping the rhythm well in the piaffe, and just a slight travel forward. I think she'll be perfectly happy with that, and a better quality in the second passage. And Gandalf being the experienced campaigner now, able to show very quickly the relaxation in the extended walk. And unfortunately, just the mistake behind in the second mistake there, unfortunately for Louise, in the two-time changes. And another bold extension this time in the canter. Louise really able to show the clear changes of pace well. I think that she did well for the first four half passes there. Unfortunately, just losing a little bit of the half pass in the final half pass to the left. Unfortunately now a mistake in the one-time changes as well. Coming in now to the first of the pirouettes. Just losing a little bit of energy into the pirouette, but able to pick it back up again for the change. a bit better for the second pirouette. And once again, the extended trot, a bit of a party trick for this horse. And as they come down the final centre line into the Piaf Passage Tour once again. Clearly kept the rhythm throughout the Passage and the Piaf. Wanting a little more expression for a high mark, but I think that Louise will be quite happy with her test today. That unfortunately just a couple of mistakes in the changes, which may cause her a little bit of disappointment. But I think that all in all, she'll be fairly happy with how the rest of the test went. It's obviously been very difficult for a lot of the Victorian combinations with the restrictions in place with COVID-19, and really the competition scene only started back up a few weeks ago, so there's not been a lot of opportunity to get some starts for some of these horses. Now we have the result for Kerry Mack and Mayfield Limelight. And she will indeed be very happy with that score, I think. The judge at E, 67.826. The judge at C, 69.783. And the judge at M, 67.935. A total of 68.515. So I think comfortably a PB for that combination. And I think Kerry will be very, very happy indeed. And a score in as well for Louise Curran and Kildare Gandalf. The judge at E, 63.587. The judge at C, 65.217. And the judge at M, 66.522. A total of 65.109. Well, we welcome now Pauline Carnoval and Captain Cooks. This is a relatively new combination, I think, on their second or maybe just onto their third season now of competing in the Grand Prix arena. Of course, Pauline, a previous international competitor with her previous horse Eurostan. And this combination have had some good results as of the last little while since the end of lockdown down at Bonio. They've had a couple of scores in, I think, a couple in the high 60 and one just over 70. So this is certainly a very confident combination, and you can see the cadence there in the half pass to the right. And again, the clear crossing and cadence back over to the left, just a little not so fluent in the bend this way to the left. Just a little tense in the rein back, but wiggling forward again afterwards. And this is a horse with a lot of energy to give to these movements. And you can see here lots of expression, still just slightly struggling with the balance in the passage, but a lot of energy to be able to give to it as he continues to strengthen, and a little tight through the neck in the piaffe, but on the spot and able to show the clear rhythm right the way through the movement. But here the other side of that equation, just still carrying a little bit of the tension into the extended walk. Still able to show a clear rhythm, but not as much over track as perhaps you would have liked, and just that little bit of an argument in the shortening of the reins into the collected walk. And but sometimes that's the challenge in having the horses with more energy, is that then getting them to quieten down again for the walk. Of course, why the walk is a very important movement in the grand scheme of things, is making sure they're able to maintain that relaxation even in the midst of the high energy states of the passage and the piaffe. And here much softer over the top line in the second piaffe. That was a good quality piaffe in the second passage piaffe tour. Coming now into the 2 times. And very clear expression and ground cover in the 2 times. If you're going to be picky, you could say that maybe it could still be a bit more uphill, but I think the best of the 2 times that we've seen so far, by a fair way with the ground cover and expression. And then lots of energy once again in the extended canter. Yeah, and again, Pauline able to keep the control in the changes of direction in the zigzag. Oh, just unfortunate that mistake at the start of the one-time changes. But you can see a little better for the camera here on this line, the ground cover and expression in those changes. Coming into the pirouette, able to keep control. Perhaps could have asked for a little more sit, but able to keep it small. And this one just getting a little larger, but able to keep the tempo a little better for that second pirouette. So it's always a balancing game between trying to get the sit and the control in the pirouette without compromising the activity. And Pauline coming into this final centre line. Once again, lots of energy in the passage. And nice and balanced in and out of the Piaffe. And I think that just unfortunate that mistake in the one-time tempies. Otherwise, I think that was a solid test for our fifth rider this afternoon. So we have our score in now for Jessica Hivon and Greenoaks Weltmann. The judge at E 60%, the judge at C 59.783, and the judge at M 61.196 for a total of 60.326. And yeah, again, I think that she'll be very happy with that. As I said, I don't know that she's had too many of the starts in the Senior Grand Prix, so getting over that 60% mark is a big step for a young rider. Well, we have a exciting combination now. This is John Thompson representing New Zealand, but based up in New South Wales at Mullua. And this is only a fairly new combination at the level. I think just over 12 months they've been competing in Big Tour, but they certainly made a splash earlier on in the year at the Willinga CDI with some very confident and competent scores in the Grand Prix and the Grand Prix Freestyle. And you can see here plenty of expression in the extended trot. It's a little bit a little problem with the bend in the first half pass, but much clearer to the left. And here in the halt and rein back, just the one sort of half drag stepped, but otherwise confidently back and clearly diagonal. And then into another one. Oh, unfortunate, just over the centre line, that slight little loss of rhythm in what was otherwise a very powerful extended trot. very confident Piaf. And remembering this is still only a youngish Grand Prix horse, only 9 years of age, so there's still plenty of improvements that this combination have left in the tank. And nicely now into able to relax for the extended walk. There's a slight hesitation into the passage, but then able to get back on the job very quickly. John also an experienced competitor at Grand Prix level. Previously travelled to the World Equestrian Games with his previous horse Bates Antonello. Unfortunately, I believe that the horse didn't recover as fast as he would have liked after the trip, so wasn't able to start at the World Equestrian Games, but very experienced combination nonetheless, and having travelled to that major championship. Now to the two-time changes. So able to keep them clean, a little bit of a swing in the changes, or rather after the changes to the right and before the changes to the left. And then into a bold extended canter, a little shortening in the, or a little tightening rather through the back, shortening in the strides in that last little bit before in the collection before the flying change, but bold in the start of the extended canter, and now able to show the clear crossing and positioning for the half-pass zigzag. And again, the clean ones. Reasonable ground cover again for a very high mark. You could argue that you could cover even more ground and be a bit lighter in the forehand. But remembering again that this is only a young horse at the level. And then a very competent pirouette. And John really able to show the sitting and lowering of the hindquarter in the pirouette. And again into one of these full power extended trots. We've got a lot of good extended trots in this competition this afternoon, as John and JHT Chemistry come onto their final centre line. And a confident performance once again from John Thompson. Well, we welcome out our next competitor. This is Jenny Bray and CJP Diamond Dazzler from King Lake in Victoria. And Jenny, I think, has brought this horse on, I think, from a young horse. I certainly know she's had him a while. And has come up through the levels with him. I think they competed a while ago with their first international start in the Prix St George, the small tour at the Sydney CDI. Haven't had a international start yet in the Grand Prix, but competing now at national level in the Grand Prix for a year or two. And again, able to show the clear crossing in the half pass. It could again have a little more bend to both directions in the half pass, but able to keep the activity and the crossing, and coming around now into the second of the extended trots. Keeping the rhythm well in the passage. And again, the Piaf keeping the rhythm well, just a little bit of forwards travel to assist in the keeping the rhythm, makes it a little, slightly little bit easier to maintain that rhythm throughout the movement. And it's one of those trade-offs where the judges will penalise you a little bit for moving forward, but not as much as if the rhythm breaks down in the Piaf. And there Jenny was able to keep him much more on the spot in the Piaf, and still for the most part keep the rhythm, so that was well done, asking for a bit more risk in the second Piaf than in the first one. And just unfortunately the mistakes at the end there for Jenny and CJP Diamond Dazzler, Archie as he's known in the stables. run times. And again, just unfortunately the mistake at the start. Able to keep the rest of them happening in the rhythm, although not probably as through as she would have liked in the changes. And able to keep the pirouette on the spot there. And just again with the pirouettes, the same as the piaffe, there's a little bit of the art in how large do you make them, and do you go for the higher mark and really try and keep it as small as possible and risk losing a little bit of the activity, or do you allow it to come a little larger with the hope that you're able to maintain the activity better? Jenny Bray and CJP Diamond Dazzler onto their last centre line. And able to keep the regularity well in the passage there. And now in the piaffe, again out into the passage. And I think the best of the three piaffe passage tours for Jenny Bray and CJP Diamond Dazzler on their final centre line. So Jenny happy with Archie. And we've had a little bit of movement on the leaderboard with the score coming in for John Thompson and JHT Chemistry. The judge at E 66.739. The judge at C 73.043. The judge at M 69.674, a total of 69.819, placing him in the lead at the moment. So we now welcome to the arena Holly Cutler and Diva Royale. This combination have been competing for a few years now at Grand Prix level in both international and national Grand Prix. And starting off strong with plenty of ground cover in the extended trot. Again, the clear crossing in the half pass. Maybe could have just a little more bend to the both directions, but able to keep them flowing. And a willing rein back. And plenty of ground cover again in the extended trot for Holly and Diva Royale. Just probably needing a little more balance in the Piaffe Passage Tour. This horse is certainly one that can show plenty of expression. And just having a little bit of tightness in the walk, as you can see in the rhythm there, which is always something this mare struggles with a little bit in the Grand Prix test. It is very difficult, as I said before, to come from the high energy state of the Piaffe and the Passage into the full relaxation of the walk. And Holly able to show a bit more lift in this second Passage and away into the Canter Tour. Nice balance changes. Able to keep more or less the same counter rhythm right the way through, which is always nice to see. And nice changes in the one times, really covering the ground, relaxed. Nice small pirouette. And this horse very much is able to show the sitting in these collected movements. And then again the power in the extended trot. through the last of the piafs and into the final passage. And again, I think that they've had a little bit of a break, Holly and Diva, and I think that as you can see, she's absolutely thrilled with that test. I think they have had probably a year since they were out competing in the CDIs, and of course with COVID haven't been able to compete throughout the second half of this year. So I think that she'll be absolutely rapt to get that test back out on the board, and lots of cheering from the crowd as that is gathered here for the Grand Prix as Holly leaves the arena. Well, this next test promises to be exciting. This is from Victoria, Lorna Joergensen and Corinna. Lorna, a very experienced rider, represented her home country of Denmark at the time at the Sydney Olympics, and became a naturalised Australian last year. And this horse have been going from strength to strength over the last few months. They had some fantastic results down in Borneo in November, a 75% in the Grand Prix at one of those days. And that extended trot, a real highlight for this horse, able to show the cover the ground and show plenty of expression and lightness in the forehand. The half pass, plenty of cadence and crossing. I think for a very high mark there could still be a little more bend in the half passes, but really able to keep the balance well throughout the movement. Even steps in the reinback. And another one of these very expressive extended trots. Coming now into the Passage and Piaffe. This is an area where this horse in particular has improved a lot over the last 6 to 8 months from earlier on in the year. And through into the walk tour. This horse owned by Pauline Carnoval, who you'll remember from a little earlier on riding Captain Cook's. And here able to show the clear and easy rhythm in the walk, in the collected walk. Direct into the Passage. It's a little slow to establish the rhythm in the piaffe, but able to get it back for the second half of the movement. Oh, and unfortunate, just that jump behind in the two-time changes. You can see, though, that plenty of energy and expression in the flying changes, and just unfortunate that slight mix-up of the back legs in the second change. Lorna really going for the extended canter. And again, Lorna really showing her experience there with the zigzag and able to keep it neat and tidy through the changes of lead and bend. Now into the one-time changes. And again, lots and lots of energy. Really sitting in the pirouettes. Just not quite as much activity in the second pirouette, but still lots and lots of sit as she comes back to the extended trot. Again, a real highlight for this horse. These full-powered extended trots that deservedly often gets the 8s and 9s from the judges. As she comes into the final centre line. Very much on the spot for that piaffe, and out into the final passage. I think that Lorna will be happy with this test. That unfortunate mistake in the two-time changes, but still a very, very solid performance from Lorna Joergensen and Corinna. Well, their score in for Holly Cutler and Diva Royale, the judge at E 65.761, the judge at C 66.413, and the judge at M 66.848, a total of 66.341 for Holly Cutler and Diva Royale, and I think that she will be quite happy with that score. Well, this is always promised to be the jewel of the Grand Prix here at the Victorian Dressage Festival. Mary, Hanna and Syrianna now entering the arena. Mary Hanna, of course, the Australian record holder. Oops, unfortunately, just changing into that halt. As I was saying, Mary Hanna, the Australian record holder for the Grand Prix Freestyle with her other horse, Kalanta. And this horse also capable of scoring in excess of 70%, as they were able to do at Willinga Park earlier in the year, and then in a national competition just a week or so ago at Drysdale. Clear crossing and positioning for Mary and Syrianna. Could probably have just a little more cadence in the half pass, but you could see there on the short side before the halt, plenty of energy back in the collected trot. And again, a nice, easy difference to the extended trot and then into the highly collected passage for Mary and Syrianna. Lots of expression in the passage. Whoops, just a slight loss of tempo into the piaffe. And again, just a little hesitation on the way out of the piaffe, but back into this nice cadenced passage. And very promptly out of the collected walk into the passage again for Mary and Syrianna. Mary really showing all of her experience. Having represented Australia at, I believe it's 4 Olympics now, and several world championships as well. Highly experienced international competitor. Was based over in Europe for a lot of the last years. Returned home at the end of last year, and of course had the fantastic results at the Willinga CDI before the COVID lockdown. Just swinging a little bit in those changes. Lots of expression. And again, covering the ground in the extended canter. And again, very professionally executed, clear changes of direction into the one-time changes, really coming off the hind leg. good changes as she comes in now to the pirouette. Able to keep it nice and tight, straight flying change. And another small pirouette for Mary. Ooh, just a slight misunderstanding into the collected trot rather, but then powerfully forward again into the extended trot. As I said, we've been privileged with our extended trots here this afternoon in this Grand Prix competition as Mary, Hanna and Syrianna into the final centre line. And again, this lovely cadenced passage. It's going to be very close, I think, between Mary and Lorna for the honours in this Grand Prix competition as Mary makes her way out of the final piaffe and down the last few metres of passage to finish a very, very competitive test in the Interpath 4CYTH Grand Prix at the Hygain Victorian Dressage Festival. Well, we'll soon see whether she has done enough. The score to beat from Corinna and Lorna Joergensen, the judge at E 70.543, the judge at C 74.565, and the judge at M 76.739, a total of 73.949 for Lorna Joergensen and Corinna. That is the score that Mary will need to beat on Syrianna if she is to take the lead in this Grand Prix competition. Well, our last competitor to go now in the Interpath 4CYTH Grand Prix. This is Dirk Dijkstra riding his second horse in the competition, and this is the venerable AEA Metallic. AEA Metallic, a lot of experience competing with Dirk in the Grand Prix. This combination have been together for many years. AEA Metallic now 20 years of age. Oh, just a little short of C for the halt and rein back. A metallic belaying his age with the nice fluent half passes before, and then still got lots of energy in this extended trot. Just losing a little bit of balance in the corner there in the passage, but now able to show the Piaffe on the spot. It's needing to take a little more weight on the hind quarter for the Piaffe for a high mark, but able to keep the rhythm for the most part throughout the movement and into the extended walk. Metallic's always been able to show that clear transition from the passage into the relaxed relaxation of the extended walk. And again, able to keep the rhythm and remain on the spot, probably for a high mark again, just wanting to take a little more weight on the hindquarters, have that real lowering of the hindquarters, but a good Piaffe from the experienced campaigner in a metallic. Into the changes now. A couple that were a little close together, but managed to get them all through clean in the 2-time tempies. Plenty of energy again in the extended canter. Dirk really knows this horse well now after many years of competing together. They've competed at World Cup qualifiers here in Australia and numerous CDI 3 stars. Again, able to show the clean transitions from one half pass to the other in the zigzag, and now show some real ground cover in the changes, just that one little jump together near the end. Small pirouette, well controlled. Just a little loss of the activity in that second pirouette, but still able to keep it nice and tight. And then back into the trot and this energetic extended trot. And now on to the final central line for our final competitor in the Interpath 4CYTH Grand Prix here at the Hygain Victorian Dressage Festival. Just a slight little loss of rhythm into the Piaffe, but Dirk quickly able to right the ship and get Metallic back into the Piaffe rhythm and finish off the test for what has been a very good Grand Prix competition here at the Hygain Victorian Dressage Festival. Well, we have that score in now for Mary, Hanna and Syrianna. And here it comes now, and the judge at E 72.065, the judge at C 72.609, and the judge at M 72.717, a total of 72.464, and currently in second place for Mary, Hanna and Syrianna as we await our final score from Dirk Dijkstra and AEA Metallic. So the result there for Dirk Dijkstra and AEA Metallic, the judge at E 67.065, the judge at C 68.913, and the judge at M 66.957 for a total score of 67.645. We're just waiting on the one score from earlier on in the competition, Pauline, Carnoval and Captain Cooks, and we will bring that to you very shortly, hopefully. And then be able to give you the final ranking for this Interpath 4CYTH Grand Prix competition. Well, unfortunately, the score for Pauline, Carnoval and Captain Cook's yet to come through. We'll show the provisional standings for the rest of the competitors. We'll try again there now with the final ranking for the competition. Unfortunately, that score not through for Pauline, Carnoval and Captain Cooks, but you can see an idea of the rest of the class. In the lead, Lorna Joergensen and Corinna with a score of 73.949, ahead of Mary, Hanna and Syrianna, 72.464. Fantastic to see those two strong scores out at the top of the field. In third place, 69.819 for John Thompson and JHT Chemistry. A super performance from the Kiwi. And then Kerry, Mack and Mayfield Limelight, 68.515. A real breakout performance for this combination. And then Pauline, Carnoval and Captain Cooks sitting at around about the 66 mark with the two scores that we have to hand, and we will bring that to you if it does come in the next couple of minutes. Then Dirk, Dijkstra and AA Metallic, 67.645 rather. Holly, Cutler and Diva Royale, 66.341. Dirk Dijkstra and Royalito, 65.797 in 8th place. Louise, Curran and Dara Gandalf, 65.109, and 9th place Jenny Bray and CJP Diamond Dazzler, 62.428, and Jessica Hivon and Greenoaks Weltmann, 60.326 in 11th place. So those are the results that we have to hand. Thank you for joining us for this Interpath 4CYTH Grand Prix here at the Hygain Victorian Dressage Festival.